Okay, so I'm going to try and explain how the uh, problem occurs whereby you're losing the zeros on the beginning of your phone numbers in Excel when you open CSV files, and I'm going to show you how to solve it. So the first thing to understand is that Excel files are quite big and quite bloated. They have to contain all the formatting such as font sizes, cell colors and text color and formulas. So most people opt for text files or CSV files when transferring data across the internet because they are far smaller, and one of the reasons why they're smaller is because they don't contain any formatting or formulas. So when you format a number in Excel and give it a leading zero, for example, when you reopen that file, the leading zero is still there. But in a CSV file, for example, it doesn't contain any formatting, so Excel tries to interpret how to format it, and that's why you're losing the zero. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so here is a sample data file I've got, a CSV file. It's called a CSV file because each value or each field is separated by a comma, and if there's no value in there, you'll get something like this where you just get commas after commas. Alright, so if I copy this, you'll see why in a second, and I paste this into my Excel, you'll see that it pastes exactly as you saw it there in the notepad. Okay. Now if I format this by clicking on data, text to columns, delimited, which means that it's going to use a specific character to split up the cells, which obviously is a comma for us. Click next, click comma, and if you watch down here on the data preview, you'll see it all begin to organize itself. Alright, if I go finish, you will see there's my data, and it's organized itself in the right columns because it's separated each column or each data segment by the commas. Right. Now you'll also notice, if I go back here, that the phone numbers had leading zeros. Okay, they don't anymore. All right. Now there's another thing to show you quickly before we get started. Now I'm in a brand new sheet. Now watch what happens when I copy in the same data. Remember, the first time round it just showed it exactly the same. Now it has, as the technical expression goes, parsed it, which means it's split it out. So Excel tries to be intelligent, right? Generally speaking, that's helpful, but sometimes it can be annoying or unhelpful. And in the case of your missing zeros, for some people, it's annoying. So, a CSV file is used generally because it's so much smaller than an Excel file and cuts down transmission time and storage costs, but it doesn't have any formatting. So when you open it, Excel will format it from scratch. It interprets the phone numbers as a number, which is why you're losing the leading zero. Now this is a known problem. You don't have to Google very far to find a lot of people moaning about it, and this is Microsoft's official answer to it. So click on your data tab, get from text, select your file, and this is again, it's offering you the options here about how to import it. So our file is delimited and the comma is already ticked, so you can see again looking very similar to how you convert text to columns as we did previously. But when you get to stage 3, you get to tell it what the fields are. Okay, now these are by default formatted as general. If I go across to the telephone number field right at the end and say it's a text field and click finish, okay, you'll see I have maintained my zeros. Now to do that with several clicks rather than just double clicking on the file, which is kind of how we'd like it to happen, but unfortunately this is the only way around the problem in this particular instance. However, the other solution, which is also something that Microsoft recommend, is to essentially turn your telephone number fields into what it refers to as labels, what I call text fields. by stopping Excel from thinking it's an actual number. And the way to do that is, for example, to have a space, a dash, frankly anything that's not a number. And when Excel sees a field that contains anything that's not a number, it automatically classes it as a text field. So let me show you what I mean. So if I open up my notepad again, now this time if I just go through the phone numbers and I put spaces in them, or a dash, doesn't really matter. Maybe I'll put brackets around that one. Essentially anything that is not a number. Now if I copy these and paste them here, there you go, as if by magic, it's kept my phone numbers. So essentially, for as long as you're holding your telephone numbers as a series of an actual number with no spaces, no dashes, which is good for formatting, and frankly I prefer to hold data in that fashion. The problem is that when you're opening up CSV files, it's going to interpret them as numbers and lose the leading zeros. So you either need to import the file using the data from text option, or once you've imported the file, you can add the leading zeros back on, save it out as an Excel file. That's quite straightforward. For those of you who want to add leading zeros, it's not impossible. I'll show you now. So I'll take my file again, copy it, paste it in. There we go. I've lost my leading zeros. To be honest, this is a long way around it, but if you want to do it, you can do it this way. First of all, I'm just going to sort my field by the telephone numbers so I get them all together, make it a little bit easier. There we go. And to put a 0 on them, it's simply equals speech marks 0 ampersand and the cell number. There you go. Copy those down, and then I can just copy those, right click, paste special. Okay, I tend to use the option here, and paste the values. There you go. Delete my excess column. Now you've got zeros. If you save this file out now as a CSV file, though, you'll lose those again because you'll be back to where you started from. But if you save it out as an Excel file, it'll maintain the zeros. To me, that's a very long-winded way around it. I prefer holding the phone numbers with or without zeros. Is of no consequence to me, but some people like it. So you've got three options there. You can either import it from data from text and just tell it that the telephone number field to text field. You can add the zeros manually before you save it out, as I just did there. Or finally, you can change your schema for holding your numbers and essentially make them labels by inserting spaces or commas or dashes or whatever your system does. Which is, in fact, actually is the Microsoft recommended way to avoid the problem. So I'll put a link in a few places depending on where you're looking at this video for the relevant Microsoft page. There are plenty of them, but I'll just show you the page that we looked at. And if you've got any more problems, by all means, just contact us on our live chat on www.tpsservices.co.uk or call us on 0843 005 9302. Have a good one. Cheers.